Now, my dear one, close your eyes gently and let your thoughts drift. We're going to journey tonight into a story filled with quiet magic, steadfast friendships, and secrets softly unveiled. Imagine a world where the night sky twinkles with more than just stars, and ancient castles hold whispered tales. Our story begins, as many do, with a young boy named Harry Potter. It was summer, and Harry was staying, as he often did, with his Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon and their son Dudley. It wasn't always a peaceful time, you see, but Harry carried a secret world within his heart, a world of magic that was just waiting for him to return. This particular summer, their rather unpleasant Aunt Marge came to visit. She was not a kind woman, and her words were often sharp and unkind to Harry. One evening, after a particularly trying dinner, something quite extraordinary happened. Aunt Marge, in her booming voice, began to expand gently, like a very large, slowly inflating balloon. She floated upwards, a rather surprising sight, until she drifted away into the night sky. Harry, quite understandably, slipped away from the house in the quiet darkness, feeling a mix of surprise and a little bit of relief. He found himself alone on the silent street, wondering what to do. But in the magical world, help often arrives in the most unexpected ways. With a cheerful screech and a puff of purple smoke, a magnificent triple-decker bus, painted a vibrant violet, arrived just for him. This was the night bus, a swift and rather bouncy form of transport for wizards in distress. Harry climbed aboard, and with a series of gentle jolts and stretches, the bus carried him swiftly through the night, past sleeping villages and quiet fields, until he arrived at a charming, hidden inn called the Leaky Cauldron. There, Harry was reunited with his two dearest friends, Hermione Granger, with her bright, thoughtful eyes, and Ron Weasley, always a loyal and comforting presence. They learned, in hushed tones, of a man named Sirius Black, who was said to be a dangerous escaped prisoner from a wizarding prison called Azkaban. The grown-ups, like the kind Minister for Magic, Cornelius Fudge, seemed very worried, cautioning Harry to be careful. Soon, it was time to return to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Harry, Ron, and Hermione settled into their compartment on the old, familiar Hogwarts Express. The journey began pleasantly, but as the train made its way through a particularly dark and stormy landscape, a chill began to seep into the air. A cold, dreadful presence drifted through the corridors. These were the Dementors, the ghostly guards of Azkaban. They were creatures that seemed to drain all happiness from the world, leaving only a quiet sadness. One of them glided into their compartment, and the air grew icy. Harry felt himself drifting into unconsciousness, a deep chill settling over him. But then, a new figure appeared. A kind-faced wizard with gentle eyes, Professor Remus Lupin, who was to be their new defense against the dark arts teacher. He calmly repelled the Dementor with a soft, glowing light and offered Harry a warming piece of chocolate. It was a comforting moment, a glimpse of the quiet strength Professor Lupin possessed. Life at Hogwarts resumed, with its usual blend of enchanting lessons and curious discoveries. In divination class, their eccentric teacher, Professor Trelawney, saw a gloomy omen in Harry's tea leaves. The Grim, a large, dark dog, often seen as a sign of ill fortune. Meanwhile, in care of magical creatures class, with the kindly giant Hagrid, they met magnificent creatures called hippogriffs, half eagle, half horse. One proud hippogriff, Buckbeak, was unfortunately provoked by a boastful student named Draco Malfoy, and gave him a tiny scratch. This seemingly small incident would later lead to much distress. In Professor Lupin's class, they learned to face their fears. He showed them a boggart, a shape-shifting creature that takes the form of your deepest fear. Harry, remembering the Dementors, found himself facing one, but Professor Lupin cleverly stepped in, teaching Harry the simple, joyful spell, Ridiculous, to turn fear into something amusing. It was a lesson in finding light in the shadows. As the days turned into weeks, the talk of Sirius Black persisted. There were whispers of him being spotted near Hogwarts, and strange things began to happen. The atmosphere around the school felt a little heavier, a little less carefree. During a Quidditch match, where Harry soared high on his broomstick, the chilling Dementors appeared once more. They drifted onto the pitch, and Harry, overwhelmed by their cold despair, fell from his broom, his precious Nimbus 2000 splintering into many pieces below. It was a moment of deep sadness, but he was gently caught before he reached the ground. Professor Lupin, seeing how deeply affected Harry was by the Dementors, began to teach him a special charm, the Patronus charm. It was a difficult spell, requiring the happiest memory one could muster, to create a shield of pure light and joy against the dark creatures. Harry spent many quiet evenings practicing, struggling at first, but slowly learning to summon a silvery, shimmering light. One night, the castle was disturbed again. Sirius Black was reported to have broken into the Gryffindor common room, slashing the portrait of the fat lady. Another night, Ron woke up to find Black standing by his bed, holding a knife, only to vanish into the night. It seemed Black was searching for something, or someone. The weeks passed, and the fate of Hagrid's beloved hippogriff, Buckbeak, grew ever more uncertain. Because of the scratch he inflicted on Malfoy, Buckbeak was sentenced to be executed. Hagrid was heartbroken, and Harry, Ron, and Hermione shared his quiet sorrow. Meanwhile, Fred and George Weasley, Ron's older brothers, gave Harry a magical map, the Marauders map. It showed every person in Hogwarts, their names and their locations. It was a wonderful, secret thing. And one quiet night, as Harry studied the map, he saw a name he didn't recognize, but which appeared alongside Ron's Scabbers the Rat. Peter Pettigrew. This was a man long thought dead, a man who, according to legend, had been betrayed by Sirius Black. The story truly began to unravel on a moonlit night near the Whomping Willow, a rather grumpy, striking tree that guarded a secret passage. Ron, with Scabbers in his pocket, went off alone for a moment and was suddenly dragged beneath the tree by a large, dark dog. Harry and Hermione, full of quiet concern, followed him into a hidden tunnel beneath the roots of the tree. The tunnel led them to a creaky old house known as the Shrieking Shack. Inside they found Ron, wounded and frightened, and there, standing before them, was Sirius Black, not the terrifying killer they had imagined, but a gaunt man with a sorrowful face. Professor Lupin soon joined them, and the atmosphere grew tense. Professor Lupin, with a heavy heart, revealed a deep secret. He was a werewolf, and the light of the full moon was beginning to transform him. The truth, long buried, slowly unfolded. Black was not a betrayer, but an innocent man. The real betrayer of Harry's parents, and the one responsible for framing Sirius, was none other than Peter Pettigrew, who had been hiding for years in the guise of Ron's pet rat, Scabbers. With a magical charm, Pettigrew was revealed, a tiny, frightened man, shivering and trying to escape. Just as the truth was laid bare, Professor Snape, their severe potions teacher, burst in, determined to capture Black. But before he could act, Professor Lupin's transformation into a untamed wolf began. In the confusion, Peter Pettigrew managed to slip away into the dark night, transforming back into a rat and scurrying into the shadows. The werewolf Lupin, unable to control himself, ran out into the moonlit grounds, pursued by Harry, Ron, Hermione, and the newly revealed, kind-hearted Sirius Black. But then, the Dementors arrived again, a chilling wave of despair descending upon them by the Black Lake. Harry felt his strength draining, his senses dimming. He saw a distant figure, shrouded in silver light, conjuring a powerful Patronus, a magnificent stag, driving the Dementors away. And then he slipped into peaceful darkness. When Harry awoke, he learned that Sirius Black had been captured, and Buckbeak was still facing his sad fate. But Professor Dumbledore, with a knowing twinkle in his eye, spoke gently of the power of friendship and the preciousness of time. He hinted that Hermione's secret might hold the key, and so Hermione revealed her most extraordinary secret, a small, gleaming hourglass on a chain, a time-turner. This magical device allowed her to travel back in time by a few hours. With quiet determination, Harry and Hermione turned the time-turner, feeling the world spin softly around them as they journeyed into the immediate past. They watched themselves from a distance, reliving the events, knowing what was to come. Their first task was to save Buckbeak. They quietly rescued the majestic creature from Hagrid's hut, just moments before the executioners arrived. Then, mounted on Buckbeak's back, they soared silently through the twilight sky, a gentle breeze rustling through their hair, waiting for the moment by the lake. As the Dementors once more descended upon past Harry and Sirius by the lake, Harry, knowing what to do, raised his wand. Remembering the purest, happiest memories, he focused all his courage and love. A powerful, glowing stag, his Patronus, burst forth from his wand, brilliant and strong, pushing back the cold, dark creatures. It was he, Harry, who had cast the mighty Patronus that saved them all. With the Dementors repelled, Harry and Hermione helped Sirius Black escape. Sirius climbed onto Buckbeak's back, the magnificent hippogriff ready to carry him to safety, far away from Azkaban. They watched as the two figures, man and creature, soared into the deep, calm night sky, disappearing among the stars, free at last. Back in their own time, with everything set right, Harry received a special gift from Sirius, a brand new, magnificent broomstick called the Firebolt. It was a beautiful, powerful broom, a symbol of the friendship and family he had found. And so, the quiet adventure of Sirius Black ended with a whisper of freedom. Harry, Ron, and Hermione had faced danger, uncovered deep truths, and learned the strength of their bond, all while gentle magic unfolded around them. The school year drew to a peaceful close, the castle settling into its quiet rhythm. All was well, and the world seemed to hum with a soft, content melody. Now, my dear, your own journey through dreams awaits. Let the quiet magic of friendship and discovered truths guide you into a night of peaceful slumber. Close your eyes, breathe softly, and rest.